Like anyone, I've gotten rejected, most of them amounting in high school. And from all of my rejections, I've taken some lessons to better prepare myself for future ones. So for this video, I'm going to discuss how it's always my fault, who to blame, how to empathize with your rejector, the worst kind of rejection, the only way to get better at being rejected, and why it isn't personal. Or watch on if you want to hear some embarrassing stories about me getting painfully rejected. In grade 8, there was this girl in my orchestra who I had an unhealthy crush on, to a point where I couldn't stop fantasizing a future as a couple. Her friends tried to help facilitate this fantasy in becoming a reality, with one of them organizing for us to walk home together. We ended up doing the walk, mostly being awkward and silent. Only in the later half did we start opening up and having a conversation. Now, she can misinterpret this gesture as a friendly outing, but because I didn't have the courage to directly ask the nature of our relationship, it was left ambiguous. My inability to be vulnerable stopped me from taking the risk of getting a straight answer and potentially saving time and myself from the friend zone. My other fear was that my fantasy of a potential future together could be jeopardized by rejection. So, I cared more about daydreaming about a false reality than pursuing the truth due to comfort, which is common amongst young guys who end up deluding themselves that they're happy being friends because we aren't willing to risk friendship for what we truly want. Romance. In the end, I get told by a friend that she didn't like me that way, even after accepting the arrangement to walk her home. It raises a question. Should you blame her? Yes, I could blame her for leading me on after being indirectly rejected. That's the easier path to take. But it was ultimately me, myself, and I that led myself on, not her. I couldn't expect any romantic connection from pure friendliness. That's expecting all reward with no risk. At some point after the rejection, I said to myself, I thought we were dating. I didn't even ask the question. So I cannot blame someone else for my inactions and fears. It's unfair to expect them to be responsible for and taking care of my self-inflicted pain. And what if I was a rejecter? Because rejecting someone is really f***ing hard for both guys and girls. More so girls than guys. So I cannot blame the girl in grade 8 for being friendly and not wanting to hurt my feelings. Because a year later, I will know what it feels like to be the rejecter. It's my 2019 Japanese study tour. We were at the cafeteria of the youth hostel we were staying in. There was another school from Malaysia. I kept looking at them as we ate because I heard their speaking sounded like Bahasa Indonesia and wanted to ask if they were Indonesian. I discussed it aloud with a friend at the table, encouraging me to go up and ask. Then, one of the girls saw me glancing and actually came up to me. As she approached, you can see all the other Malaysian girls whispering to each other. She was friendly and asked me for my Instagram. We kept texting each other for a couple of days while we were both still in Japan, much to my discomfort of not wanting to lead her on. Wanting to cut all ties, reject her face to face, and have the hard conversation ate me up inside. Enough that I got guidance from one of the senior Japanese teachers about the situation. He said what I'm feeling is fine and I'm not a bad person for feeling this discomfort and rejecting her. And then I did. I told her to hop on FaceTime and that I wasn't comfortable having her as an acquaintance. Felt terrible throughout the whole call, but as soon as I hopped off the call, I felt absolute relief. And the whole point of that story is meant to invoke some empathy for the person who is rejecting you. Let's be honest, we want to reject people without hurting their feelings if we respect them for their bravery. Alas, with enough experience rejecting others or sympathizing with them, it becomes easier to get rejected yourself because you understand what it's like being on the giving and receiving end. And it's actually okay. It's a matter of how you react to it. Talking about reactions, the worst kind of romantic rejection you can experience is while you're young and place all your self-worth on the approval of a girl. Horrible. And that's what exactly happened in grade 8. Myself and other guys commonly experience not being able to eat, having a lump in the back of our throats, your heart racing and panicking, all in an attempt to control something outside of your control. To stop this kind of rejection happening is by becoming useful. And I don't say that lightly. In grade 8, I didn't have much going on for me, not enough to keep myself busy all the time. What I did have was enough spare time, a lot of it, to lament and obsess over a non-existent future that was destroyed by a simple rejection. So figure out how you can provide value to others and yourself. What are you good at? What do you obsess over? How can you help others? Then work towards creating an individual that provides value to others. That way, like in business, you know the problem is not with the value of the product, but with the customer fit. Really, the only way to get better at being rejected is getting more rejections. Painful, I know. Only with enough exposure can you develop the subconscious understanding that you are still alive after you get rejected. In the end, it's not personal. Reframe it. Rejection is not an attack on you personally. It's a screening tool to vet out a potential partner. because the likelihood you will be compatible with everyone is near zero. For someone to reject you meant that both of you weren't compatible. That's it. We only take it personally because we're attached to the outcome, success or rejection, to our inherent value as a human being. It hurts the ego when you're told, "You're not good enough for my affection." But imagine they accept your advances and they aren't attracted to you. How would you feel then? Next time you get rejected, thank them for receiving the gift of saving your most valuable resource, time. So the big takeaway is the only way you will get better at handling rejections is by getting more rejections, knowing it's not personal, and developing self-value and respect to know you'll be okay.